Now, for more, let's cross to Bohdan Nahaylo. He is the chief editor of the Kyiv Post, and he joins us live from Barcelona. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program. Now, earlier we heard from Zelensky that the Russian tanks are embedded with thermal monitors, but they struck the power plant anyway. Do you think that this is a tactic Putin is using to warn Zelensky and the West that he will be taking more aggressive steps moving forward in this conflict?
Very much so. I think, blackmail is part of the game, not just terror and killing and bombing, but blackmail in the sense of, alongside the threat of a nuclear holocaust from bombs, from missiles, from atomic weapons, the threat of one of the atomic power stations being attacked or blown up. Look, I mean, they've taken Chernobyl, the Chernobyl area as well. Highly dangerous. People are not talking about this. But they could always stage an incident that a stray Ukrainian missile or shell has hit it, causing immense panic and danger to the rest of Europe. Yesterday, I think, was also this flexing of biceps and an attempt to further blackmail the West into giving up, into saying this is far too dangerous for us to continue with. Let's come to terms with a madman in the Kremlin, even if he's mad. But we cannot risk being obliterated, all of us.
It's interesting you say that because we just heard from Putin saying that he wants to normalize relations with other countries, indicating the West. Do you think that that could happen as long as this military operation is being conducted by the Russians?
Look, you're an intelligent person. Ask yourself that question. He's wiped out half the cities of Ukraine, its airports, its infrastructure, killed thousands of people, caused 1 million people to flee. And now he's talking about what? Peace? Peace on what terms? Whose terms? That he keeps what he's grabbed? What about reparations? What about restoration of the damage? What about war criminals being tried at The Hague? No, this is absolute bullshit, as we know. And typical Russian disinformation propaganda. What we have to worry about is this Putin speaking? Is this somebody on his behalf? Or is Putin mentally sane? I mean, look, he's threatening the entire world with a nuclear holocaust in one form or another. This is not just about Ukraine. If one of these power stations is blown up or attacked, Turkey is in the front line. If the winds are blowing south, you're going to get hit almost the first. So this is a great danger for humanity and particularly for the region as a whole. So let's not kid ourselves or console ourselves that having destroyed so much of Ukraine already, that Putin is now talking peace, blowing
Right.
hot and cold. Get out. He's an invader, a killer, and a terrorist and a war criminal. Get out. Those are the only terms.
All right. Now, during the ceasefire talks that were held yesterday, both sides agreed to creating humanitarian corridors. How crucial is it that those corridors are created as soon as possible?
Please don't jump to conclusions. They agreed that theoretically such humanitarian corridors would be created. The Russians are being very difficult about this. The Ukrainians have asked that the ICRC take control of this, that the Red Cross deal with this. The Russians are very reluctant to. They don't want observers, neutral international observers on the spot. So they're dragging their feet. So on the one hand, they're saying, yes, some kind of compromise is reached, but in reality, they're not moving forward with this. Every day, every hour for Ukrainians is crucial. Thousands of people are dying, millions are besieged, and over 1 million have already managed to make their way out of Ukraine. So every hour is important. Let's see the deeds and not just the talk from Russia.
Right. So what happens in the aftermath of all of this? On one hand, we have cities that are being left in ruins, attacked, thousands and thousands. We've hit the million mark, are displaced. They've fled the country, and world powers not being able to come to terms, and Ukraine left falling through the cracks.
True, but Ukraine's not on its own. I think, look, it's simply the atomic weapons the nuclear weapons that Russia has that is the deterrent in terms of the West not helping. The West has provided huge moral, political, financial support and is now finally very belatedly and perhaps very late in the day providing some weapons. Ukraine needed weapons. It could defend itself, but it was left for so long without the defensive weapons that it asked for. Russia was going on about Ukraine being a front line of NATO. Well, where were these weapons and missiles that Russia was talking about? They weren't there. Ukrainians have had to fend for themselves. And now there's a guilt feeling in NATO and in Germany, France, for example. They feel guilty because they realize that they were really taken for a spin by Putin, and now the costs are immense because it's not just the damage to Ukraine. Think of the exodus of refugees now. This is going to challenge Syria or anything else like this. Europe is going to end up like Turkey, hosting millions of refugees. A situation that could have been avoided.
All right, Bohdan Nahaylo, thank you so much for joining us here on the program and sharing that insight with us.